This is Enow Etta. You are listening to Leaders and Next podcast.
Hey, welcome everybody to the latest edition of Leaders and Next. Anyone who follows college football knows Michigan has had one of the best defenses in college football. In fact, last season it was the number one rated defense in college football. We gave up the fewest yards per game, the fewest points per game, which was less than 10, and we yielded only 17 touchdowns over 15 games. And a big part of that success has been the play of the defensive line with guys like Hutchinson, Chris Jenkins, Braden McGregor, Mike Morris, Jalen Harrell, David Ajabo, Mozzie Smith. All those guys have been drafted in the last few years. The good news is that there's depth in that room, and next in line could be one of the highest rated recruits on the roster, Enow Etta. Enow is a redshirt freshman, so he's a guy who could impact the program for several more years. Enow, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
We're looking forward to it. We're looking forward to learn a little bit more about your background. Obviously, being a highly recruited guy, tons of articles written by, On3 and 247, but, there may be some stuff that's fans haven't heard about. First of all, why don't you tell us a little bit about your family? You got brothers and sisters?
Yeah, I got a brother and a sister. My brother's playing football right now at my old high school. He's a sophomore, so he's doing pretty good. I'm trying to get him recruited. Trying to get him going to camps in the summer. All that. He's working with my old trainer Tank. So
okay,
yeah, he's a little bit smaller than me, so I think he's going to be like a linebacker. But I think he's really getting it. He's talented. And then I got a little sister. She's just all around the place. Tennis, swimming, mostly on her iPad all day. But yeah.
Oh well, I think anybody under the age of 21 is on their some device all the time. But so your brother, sophomore, is he starting to get some? That you guys all get your offers. It seems like when you're like in 8th grade these days. So
Yeah.
what kind of game is he? Is he looking to get some attention these days?
Yeah, I think he's been talking to Syracuse.
Nice.
What I heard. So I think this summer is going to be really big for him going into his junior year, kind of like going to all these camps and stuff. So I'm trying to get him to go, trying to stay on top of his head. He's training a lot. He's really bought in. So, I'm excited for him and just kind of, hopefully I can see him explode kind of like I did, like going into my junior year.
What's some of the advice you've given him?
Really is just, well, one thing I always try to tell him is just like focus. Like it's cliche, but it's like focus, man. Like it's right in front of you. Like you got the trainer to succeed. Like you got the body. Like it's a lot of kids who would like love to be in your position. Like just stay focused. Like school, football, like whatever you're doing, just stay focused. And like another thing is like just like instead of thinking about, oh, I want to do this, is like what don't want you to, like what do you not want to be? Like you don't want to be the guy that's like, oh man, like if only I tried harder, a few years down the line. So it's like if you focus on that, that's right. That's like something I try to tell myself every day. So that way, if you focus on that, I feel like you're going to be more motivated to do the things you want because you can kind of see, you can envision the future of what you don't want to be, and you're going to do your hardest to kind of work away from that. So, yeah.
So are you like walking into Coach Moore's office with like videotapes of his games in high school? Hey, man, you got to follow this guy.
I ain't gonna lie. I want to. I keep telling him, he don't know how to like make good highlights, bro. Like I told him make good highlights on Twitter. Like, man, it was trash, man. So I got to get with him when I go home and kind of show him. But I'm trying to, I've already kind of mentioned him to my coach, but he's the D-line coach. So I do got to talk to BJ, the linebacker coach, once he starts getting like junior, senior year, man, to start getting him on the radar.
Do you have to make your own highlight tapes?
Yeah, like if you can go into like Huddle, and make like that's what I did. I made my own like highlights, just all my favorite plays, like sacks, tackles, like plays that show my athleticism. I would just highlight them, put them in the tape, and just post them on Twitter. That's all I was doing during my recruitment. Yeah,
that's it. Well, that's great. Well, hopefully we'll be on the lookout for him, Heck, he's a long way away from being in Michigan, but it'll come sooner rather than later, probably.
Yeah.
Now you moved around. With our crack research staff, we know that you moved around an awful lot. You were born in Seattle. You moved to Cameroon. You've lived in Georgia, Florida, Texas.
Yeah.
Are you guys in the witness protection program?
No, really, most of it was just my dad's job.
Okay.
He was just getting like some good opportunities. He was blessed with some good opportunities. So some of them, like, they just were too good for him to pass up. So, we ended up moving up a lot. And I think in the long run, it did kind of make me tougher. Like the first few times it was like, man, like settling down, making friends, especially being at a young age. And like him telling me like, yeah, you got to leave him. Like it was tough, but in the long run, like it made me tougher. And like, I think that's actually one of the things that helped me come to Michigan, like being able to move away from home, because I am used to that change. So like I could go where I wanted to go and not have that mindset of like, being scared of change rather than, being like a homebody, like, oh, I want to stay home. Like I don't want to move. Like, I think it really did help me in the long run. So,
but you're preaching to the choir here. In my case, I moved every 2 years as a kid growing up. Literally, I've lived, and I thought it was normal. Like it was for my dad's job too. And you learn some things, and you make some friends. My guess is though, one of your challenges was you were probably never at your size. You were probably the new kid. You were probably never tested.
I'm not gonna lie. It was sometimes I was tested.
Yeah.
Because like I was in areas kind of like Georgia and Florida. Like in some of the areas I was in, it was like two different types of areas. It was like on one side, people would see like a big kid and not want to test you. And then on the other side, it was like people would see a big guy and like try to test him to, either like see if he's like, like I guess you could say really like that. Or like, try to make a name for themselves, like, oh, they beat up the biggest kid. So sometimes I honestly did get tested. But I mean, that's another thing, it just make you tougher. I mean, nobody's untouchable. So, yeah.
I got a feeling that went pretty bad for those folks. Is that right? The ones who
I mean, most of the time it did go bad. I had my fair share of black eyes and bloody noses. But I mean, man, that just comes with the game, man. That's just how it goes. So, but yeah.
As long as they're caught on Twitter, you don't want those 30-second clips.
Yeah, I know. I don't want to. I watch those videos all the time. I don't want to see the guy on Twitter on the pavement and all that, So
yeah.
Luckily, that was before time anybody had phones, so I was pretty safe.
Yeah, good call. I mean, and you could put them on your huddle highlights. The best.
Yeah, show the coaches the toughness.
Now, my understanding is you were like in Georgia, kind of in the elementary school, and then Florida middle school, and then Texas kind of high school, roughly. And Now, despite living in Georgia and Florida, it sounds like you didn't start playing football until like high school, like because Georgia and Florida, like it's a religion, right? As it is in Texas. But why were you late to football? If I'm right, why were you late to football?
No, yeah, you are right. Really, those were kind of the time periods. But when I was in middle school in Florida, I was close to, if you guys have heard of Nice High School, where Tim Tebow came from. So like football was really big in my area. And like I was, to put it frankly, I was really skinny. I was a basketball player and a little soccer player on the side. So my dad, like he's a, traditional African guy, he saw what was going on with football. He's like, you don't need any part of that. Like, they're going to rip you apart. Like, he ain't think I was tough, and it is what it is. Like, I wanted to play football. I was like, in middle school, I was like, 6'4", 6'3" already. I had my growth spurt pretty early. So I was like I think I was like the tallest kid, the biggest kid. So football would have been cool. I mean, I know I would have got some tight end action, man, because I was bigger than everybody. But my dad didn't want to let me try. And then I had moved to high school and, I had started lifting weights. So I got a little bigger. But my freshman year when I got there, I was really still small. And then, I was a little older so I can, make some more decisions, for myself. So he had told me, he was like, well, I got there. And literally, I remember this day, like I got there, like visiting like a tour of the high school. And like the football team, like while I was touring the high school, because we had just moved there. So, the football team was doing like this volunteering thing. And like the coach came up to me, like, are you thinking about coming here? I was like, yeah, I think I might come here. And he was like, you're huge. Like you got to play football. And I kind of thought about it. I was like, I'm in a new area. I don't know anybody. So football was like, in my mind, that was like the easiest way to make friends,
Yeah.
like the easiest way to like kind of get integrated to the community. That's what I thought. So like freshman year, I was just playing around. I didn't take it too serious. Like I was just there, for the ride. Like, yeah, all these guys are cool. Like, I'm gonna just hang out with them. And then really sophomore year, I started training. I started training with my trainer because freshman year I met my trainer. He was one of the coaches there. He's a Coach Tank. He's an ex-NFL player. So he kind of just saw my size and like my athleticism and is like, bro, you can be really good, but you just got to trust me. And I was like, all right, man, I trust you. So I started training with him. Freshman year, I think I had like 3 sacks. So nothing too crazy. I wasn't really playing. I was like, that was my first year playing football. So I was like, half the time I was out there anyway, I was just running around. I didn't really know what I was doing. So I started training with him the summer of freshman year. And then I had went to my first camp. And it was an Under Armour All-American camp. And, bro, it was the Under Armour All-American camp. And I did good in all the drills, and it was one-on-one time. And then I went against this kid. His name was Hunter Erb. He was like a 4-star. I forgot what class he was in, but he was older than me, like at least 2 years. He was an offensive tackle. I went against him. Man, long story short, I got pancaked. It went viral on like overtime. Like it was all over YouTube, man. I was like, oh my gosh. And then my coach pulled me to the side. He was like, dude, like, you want that to keep happening to you? Like, you want that to happen again? I was like, nah. And that was when I really started taking it serious. And then all that summer I trained. And my sophomore year was COVID. So we only had 6 games. But bro, I had like 17 sacks in 6 games. So like I had went crazy. And then, yeah, I had went crazy that year. And then, but again, like I was like having fun, but I was never really thinking about, like recruitment. Like I was going to camps and stuff, but it was just like, that's like, it really never like crossed my mind. Like I wasn't like, oh, like I need offers. Like I was just going out there doing whatever he told me to do. And then I had came to school one day and then my coach was like, hey, some dude came up to me and he was like, you got a 4-star at your school. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, dude, they just rated you a 4-star. And like, he showed me like 24/7. That was the first time I ever heard of like recruiting sites or anything. And they had my face on there. It was like I think it was like a 91 rating or something, 4 stars. I was like, oh man, like I ain't really, but I'd always heard like 4 and 5-star recruits, but I never like imagined myself being one. And then from then on, like, things kind of took off. Offers kind of started coming in that summer. My first offer was Arizona State. And after that, like, things got a little crazy. So, yeah.
And how did the connection with Tank come to be? Like, did he seek you out? I'm sure he doesn't train every player on the team, but how did the connection with Coach Tank come to be?
Well, he was friends with the head coach. So he had always like coached here and there for the team, but he wasn't like full time. He was just kind of volunteering, but he had his own training thing. So he already trained guys. Like he was a D-line and linebacker coach, so he had already trained guys. It's like that was like something like it just seemed like it was like God sent, like meant to be, because like I had met him and like he was like my coach. He was the D-line coach like here and there. Like so when I met him like while playing football, like over time, like we kind of built a relationship. He's like, you just start training with me. And like, yeah, to this day, I just feel like it was really meant to be because I was looking at there at South Lake High School where Quinn Ewers that came from. And because that was like really, that was closer to my house than the school I met Coach Tank at, like the school I was going to. But the guy we was renting the house from, because we had just moved there, so we were just renting the house. He was like telling my dad, like, oh, like you like he was like fearmonger. My dad, low key, he was like, yeah, they got a lot of racism scandals. So my dad got scared and he got cold feet, and so he didn't want to send me there because he was scared. I don't really know if that's true to this day, so I don't want to go out there and slander and stuff. But I had heard some stuff, but yeah, I mean that was kind of like my dad ended up not sending me there. So I mean, yeah.
I was going to ask, and I guess that explains why you ended up at such a small school. I mean, Covenant Christian Academy is what, like really far down in terms of level of competition within Texas. And so, I could see a lot of guys with your talent and get that rating move to a much bigger program for notoriety. I mean, but you stayed there through high school, right?
Yeah, through high school.
Well, it didn't hurt much, because ended up being based on 247. I mean, you were the 116th overall player nationally. And so that small school and that lower level of competition really didn't hurt much. So, you talked about your first offer. I mean, clearly you had a long list of offers given how highly you were ranked. I mean, it's a laundry list of the who's who, so we won't go through it. But, you got the Alabamas, the USC, Washington, Michigan, Michigan State. So your first offer was Arizona State. When did you get your first offer? When was it?
I'm pretty sure it was in the summer of my sophomore year.
Okay.
So after I had that big season, like during COVID, I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly, that was when I got it. And like, it was kind of like a connection because Coach Tank knew one of the D-line coaches at Arizona State. So he was always sending them videos of me playing. And then eventually they pulled the trigger. And that almost kind of broke the dam because then combined with me going to camps, after that first offer, other schools just kept following. Not long after that, I had Washington at Vanderbilt. And I actually ended up taking my first visit. I'm pretty sure it was to Washington because I was born in Washington.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it was Washington or Vanderbilt. It was one of those two. But yeah, both of those offers, I ended up taking visits. And I still wasn't really in tune. I was okay, 3 colleges want me to go there. Arizona State, I don't really want to go there. It never seemed like a place I want to go. Vanderbilt, they want me to play football there, but I don't know. Vanderbilt, I haven't really. The last few years I've been watching college football, I wasn't really, Washington, I thought would be cool because I was born in Seattle, like you mentioned. So, that would always been a cool school. So I ended up taking a visit there. But, really, I just got those 3. I was okay, that's probably all I'm going to get. I go to a small school. I'm not at South Lake. I'm not getting posted all over social media like these guys. So it's I was okay, that's where it's kind of going to go. And then as the time went on, going into junior year, that's really when most of them kind of poured in. I think I had 22 sacks my junior year. And one of the things was people kind of dogged on my competition, but I just feel that didn't really matter because I'm not going to act like I played the best of the best. I think I played 2 ranked guys my whole career, but it's I think the athleticism I displayed, kind of outshined that, So, when we were talking about making highlights, when I made my highlights, that's what I tried to put emphasis on. I was putting clips of me doing chase downs, all the way, because they didn't want to run to my side. So I'm chasing down guys all the way to the other side and catching them. And that type of stuff I'm putting, I know my competition bad, but you see I'm big, I can move like this. That's what I was really, trying to put an emphasis on. And I think schools realized that and they kind of put it to the side. So I think that's why I kind of ended up with as many offers as I did coming from a small school like that,
Now, when you get that many offers and we all know you can only take 5 officials and you can take all the unofficials. But I mean, how did you narrow what did you sit down with your dad or a coach, or how did you take that list and say, man, how do we get this narrowed down quickly?
Yeah, it was really my mom and my dad. Since I was a kid, ever since I started going to school, my dad always prioritized academics. Even when I started playing football, he was bro, you over here training and doing all this stuff, but remember, school's more important. Make sure you're still studying. So when it came time to narrow down schools for college, he's going to be on the same type of mindset. So he was you can go to a school that is good for football, but make sure it's a school that has good academics. He didn't want me going to no shade, Ole Miss, a school that's not really because he knew I wanted to do engineering. So he wanted to see me go to a school like Stanford, or even the Michigans, those type of schools that had a good engineering. Because the one school that never offered that I really wanted to was Texas. because that would have been a cool opportunity to stay home. But they kind of disrespected me. Like the coach came to my school and he was like, "Yeah, we really like your film, but we don't like your level of competition, and we want you to come to a camp." And I was like I didn't want to have a big head, but like at that point, I already had an offer from Alabama, and I already like talked to Nick Saban personally on the phone. So I'm like, dude, if Nick Saban see the potential in me and you don't, bro, like I'm not coming to no dang camp, bro. Like screw y'all, you know what I'm saying? So that was kind of off the table. I didn't go to any camp. That was really they would keep sending me mail and stuff like with camp dates and stuff, but that was the last time I ever really talked to them. But yeah, narrowing it down, it was just like for me, like what was the best of both worlds? You know, like a school that had great education and great football as well. Like, you know, schools kind of like that. So, and especially like since I wanted to do engineering, like just a really good school I could go to, like a degree that holds weight. So that's why like I ended up looking at Stanford, you know, Michigan. Michigan State also kind of caught my eye back when, you know, Mel Tucker was still there because they had a pretty good engineering school from what I had seen. So Mel Tucker, he was recruiting me pretty hard. So that was one of my top schools.
Now,
Really?
didn't it come down to Michigan and Michigan State? Or I also saw an interview, you know, where you said you might have been playing, you know, one side against the other, so having some fun with fans online or something like that, Michigan State. But
Yeah,
like,
I was because I was like, I was really torn myself. So
okay.
I was like, I was in like fans that added me to group chats on both teams. So I was like, I was in the Michigan State group chat, like, yeah, man, like I might be coming to Michigan State. And I was in the Michigan group chat, like, man, I might be coming to Michigan. Like, I really rock with both schools. So it was kind of down to the wire. But once I committed to Michigan, I had just knew, like with Mike Elston and Jesse Minter and all those guys was really showing me. Like, I was like, yeah, bro, like, I think this is where I really needed to be. But, yeah, I was kind of playing both sides. I mean, that's just where I was. Like, I was like, it was an either or, you know, like, because Mel Tucker, I really kind of like what he was at least saying he was trying to build, you know.
Sure.
So, yeah, but in the end, like, I really knew it was Michigan.
Now, you know, we don't pull a lot of guys from Texas. In fact, we've had averaged about one Texas recruit a class for the past 20 classes. You were the only Texas commit scholarship in your class. And I think there's only 5 scholarship guys on the roster from Texas. Tabby Dunlap, Ike,
Ike, Orgy,
Alex, you,
Frazier,
and now and Andrew March is and Jaden Sanders. We got 2 guys in the 25 recruiting class. So it sounds like if Texas snubbed you, was there any pressure from anybody for you to stay in state? I mean, there's A&M, there's Houston. I mean, there's some other good D1 programs there.
Yeah.
Did you get a lot of pressure from the local people saying, "Hey, man, you got to stay in Texas"?
Yeah, I really did. I mean, obviously Texas is like, you know, one of those football states, like how you said it was a religion in Georgia and Florida, like it's a religion in Texas.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know, everyone around me is like, bro, like TCU, like TCU and SMU, they were coming to my school like every week.
Okay.
Every week to come talk to me. They were always blowing up my phone, like, hey, like, you know, like, you know, we need to keep you home, like hometown kid. And then it even got to the point where I committed to Michigan, and I ain't gonna say the names of the schools, but it was like at least 2 schools in Texas, like smaller schools, and they were like, yeah, bro, like if anything goes wrong at Michigan, bro, like, you know, call us, bro, give us a call, we'll bring you home. Like, so it was really that type of love, and I was really appreciative. But it was like A&M didn't. I took like 2 visits there. A&M didn't offer me. The Longhorns didn't offer me. TCU, I actually really liked TCU, but when it came down to it, Michigan, you know, I just didn't compare them, you know. But
yeah,
if I was gonna stay home, it probably would have been like a TCU, or I mean not a TCU, well, yeah, maybe TCU, but like really A&M or Aggies, like, you know, like those type of schools. Like those are 2 great schools, like football and you know, academics wise. So like I said, that was kind of what I was looking for. So those 2 schools, but neither of them offered me, you know.
Okay.
So
yeah,
you know, that's how it ended up being.
Now
Right.
you committed in July, kind of, and did we always read as fans, we read about how these you guys have group chats among the commits, and there's certain people leading that. I mean, I'm curious, did you play any role in trying to recruit other people to Michigan?
Yeah, one of my teammates, Nathan Afobe,
Oh, sure.
on his head. Cam Brandt, you guys had interviewed him
Yeah, yeah.
when he was still committed to Stanford. I was DMing him. Trying to get him here because I was committed to Stanford too at one point. So like we kind of had a relation there, and now that's like one of our best youngest players. Like great guy. Like happy to have him here. Like he's going to be a great player. So it's like that's just kind of what I saw, like from recruiting. Like once I committed, and I knew I was locked in. It was just like
Yeah.
trying to get as much guys as I can. Like anytime I heard or seen EJ Holland like post like like a crystal ball, like I'm DMing those dudes like, hey bro, like you know what time it is, you know what I mean? So yeah.
Yeah, Cam's. We really enjoyed talking to Cam, and Cam's another guy that wants to be an engineer. So which frankly amazes. I was an engineer undergraduate at Michigan. I don't understand how you can do both. So
Yeah, it's hard. Me and Cam actually had a computer science class together, and it was tough, man. It was tough. It was tough. It is.
So you were saying, just going back to the thing you said, you mentioned you would watch, you'd see a crystal ball flip, and then you'd reach out, like something from EJ Holland. How I'm surprised. Like how much were you pretty tuned into those recruiting services, kind of watching? And was that mostly after you committed, or was that even before?
I mean, that was kind of before. Like I was always on Twitter because I was like trying to build not only build my brand, but like as a recruit, like I'm always on there posting, posting highlights, trying to get my name out there, kind of build my brand as a football player. So I'm always on Twitter. So those guys, I have followed them because they have followed me during the recruiting thing, and they were always talking to me. So I would always see EJ's tweets and all those like, especially once I committed, like seeing all those tweets. So, like I was just kind of always on there, like seeing what was going on. With Michigan, I don't really keep up with it as much today. But like when you're a recruit, like social media is kind of like your best friend. So I was kind of like if I was on Twitter, just always seeing that type of stuff, and it was like, why not reach out to him?
You mentioned when you committed to you had Elston, you Mentor, Harbaugh, Herb, a bunch of guys that are no longer with the program. I mean, how did those changes impact you?
Yeah. So I had always been a bigger edge, like, and that's one of the things. Like, even you could see on my tape, like I look pretty big, especially I always had big legs, so like I have a really big base. So a lot of schools that were recruiting me like once saw me as almost like a three tech, a D tackle.
Mm-hmm.
So during high school, I was like, man, screw that. Like I'm not doing that. I was always watching, Myles Garrett highlights, Will Anderson highlights. So I'm like, dude, I'm trying to do this. I'm not trying to be a fat three tech, So in high school, I was like, screw that. So Elston promised me, he was like, yeah, I'm going to keep you as an edge, man. Like, screw what these other schools are saying. So that was one of the things. So when they ended up, I was as, like, I ain't gonna lie, I was like 285, 290 at sometimes, but I was still a good athlete. So I didn't overdo it too much. But Elston and Coach Roney had, kept me at edge, and things were going pretty good. I felt like I had a bright future at edge. I mean, they were always telling me to keep going, especially being on scout team last year for the national championship. I was going against Ladarius Henderson, Carson Barnhart, Miles Hinton, all day, every day. So that only made me a better player. I felt like a lot of times towards the end of the year, at first, man, I'm not gonna lie, I was getting destroyed. But towards the end of the year, like I really see the improvement going against, the talent of those guys. And like I feel like some days I was going, toe to toe with them. I mean, I don't know, toe to toe with them. I would say some days, in my opinion. But yeah. But honestly, when he left and the new coaches came in, it was like they kind of saw my athleticism from my size. And they were like, man, like, I guess like even Coach Scruggs, when he was here, one of the D-line coaches, I don't know, y'all know, he was here for a short while, before stuff happened. But he had seen me. He was like, dude, like, we got like a lot of edges. Like, you're so like fast for your, stature. Like, bro, we put on like 10 pounds and move you in the three tech. Like, you could be a really good player. And in high school, I didn't see that. Like, I was trying to go to a school to be an edge. But they had told me, they was like, yeah, we see this. And even when Scruggs left and Coach Esposito came, like, he really ingrained that into me. And Coach LaTroy Lewis, like, all those guys, like, were just like, bro, like, we really see, like, even Mason, Graham, Kenneth Grant, Ray Sean, like, all the bros, like, they were telling me, like, so they really ended up changing my mind and, like, helping me, because it was a tough time, working at edge all year and then seeing those guys leave, kind of not knowing what I was going to do. I've never been a guy who was like, oh, when things get tough, I'm going to hop in the portal. So portal was out of the option. Like, I knew I wanted to be at Michigan. But it was just like seeing those guys leave, it was like, dang, like, but, with the new coaching staff coming in and, like, with all the guys, like, it was just, welcoming change, like, life's not always going to go the way you want. But it's like, what are you going to do? You can either, quit, you do whatever, or you can just keep pressing forward with the cards you were dealt. So they had left. I got switched to D tackle, all that. And so far, I mean, I think things are going pretty good. So, yeah.
Well, there's going to be a lot of playing time available next year, and you got a lot of eligibility left. So, I think sounds like a good move.
And you've got a lot of playing time, I mean, this year. And I know we rotate linemen, and that's pretty common now, I think. Fresh bodies, getting fresh legs. That was a big thing that I think Michigan fans saw a lot more of with Mike McDonald, Jesse Minter, and now Wink. But you played a lot inside this year. How's that gone? Like, how would you kind of grade your performance this year from the playing time that you've had?
Yeah, I mean, it was a little weird because I'm still getting, I was still getting the ins and outs of it in the early season. But I feel like, honestly, every week I've been just getting a little bit better. Some games didn't go how I really wanted. I think it was like Arkansas State. Like, that was the game I played the most snaps, like 20 snaps.
20 snaps.
And it was just like, if I watch the film today, like, I feel like I'm a totally different player I was than that game. So, like, that's just the kind of guy I am, like, always trying to improve. So, like in that game, like, bro, I could have had like 2 sacks. Like, I just see that stuff now, and it's just like, oh, man, like, press on, move forward. Like, let's go get it in the next game. So I definitely have been playing a lot more. Really, like, at the beginning when they moved me to D tackle, I was like, yeah, this is going to be tough. But my goal this year was, like, really to learn from the guys I got in front of me. Like, I learned so much from Mason and KG. Not even, like watching film with Mason, like, just watching how they practice, like, watching the stuff that they do. Like, I think it's made me, like, it's really got me to where I am to be able to play. Because D tackle, like, bro, I never put my hand in the dirt. So I was like, man, am I going to be able to play this year? And it's like, other than Illinois, I had hurt my ankle. But, I've been playing every week. And I got, along with Coach Espo and Coach LaTroy, like, I got those guys to thank. Like, they kind of took me under their wing. And, yeah.
So what's you mentioned you have the luxury of playing with two of the greatest D linemen in college these days, right?
Mm-hmm.
Kenneth and Mason. What are some of so if you think about Mason, we hear the talking heads talk about him, but what do you think makes him special as a defensive lineman, and what have you learned the most from him?
I think what makes him special is, spending being with him every day. What a lot of people don't see is, like, kind of his leadership. He's not, like, a really, like, vocal guy in terms of being a leader, but I think, like, he's one of those people where it's, like, it couldn't be, like, a better person as an example of someone who, like, leads by example. Like, he's not always going to be the guy that's like, hey, do this, like, da-da-da-da-da. But, like, you see the way he works, and it's just, like, it's just a guy you want to follow. And it's kind of the same thing with Kenneth. Like, those are, like, 2 real chill dudes. And I think, like, that's what people really don't see. Like, learning from them, like, it's just so easy, like, it's really easy. Like, but yeah, like, I think that's something, like, especially Mason, like, people don't see, like, how much he's, like, a huge leader for us in the, especially having a young D tackle room. And it's just, like, just seeing the way that he plays, like, you want to copy, like, everything he does, like,
I'm curious, back to the Arkansas State film. You said I watched it again, and when I watch it, I could have had 2 sacks. I've learned so much since that game. Do you remember any specific plays or like moments that you felt like now you would have done differently, or things that like as you watch the tape going back, you're like, oh man, I would have done it completely different. I'm just curious if there's plays or specific like techniques that jump out to you from that Arkansas State film.
Yeah, it was one play where I think I did like a power rush move, and I was just bullying the guard back to the quarterback. That was one of the plays where I could have got a sack on, I think. And I was in the backfield, and like coming from like being like a taller guy, like I just gotta sink, like, because if I'm too high, power's not going, because I'm gonna be taller than most guards I face. It's like, height is leverage, so I really got to work to get shorter. But it's just like a lot of times, like I used to get caught in the power and just keep going and not really do anything. So like they would have time to recover and get their feet. So on that specific one, I'm pretty sure I like hit a power move, but I did like watching the film like weeks later, I was like, man, like if I just hit a power like for 2 seconds while he was off balance and then like shed him, ripped off, like I would have been right there in the quarterback's face. Because what ended up happening, I'm pretty sure I powered him and then I pushed him, like the pocket was collapsing, like we were all getting good pressure. And I was right there, but the dude was like not making excuses, but like it was clear as day on film. Like the dude was holding me. Like I had shed him like later than I should have, and he was holding me back. And I was like an arm reached the quarterback, like reaching out, and then he runs out the pocket. I'm just like, dude, if I had shed a little earlier while he was off balance, I would have shed him to the ground. But instead I shed it like a second or two late, and he collected his feet, and I shed him, but he still had enough power to stay on me, and he ended up like pulling me, and I'm right there, and he tugging on me, and the quarterback get out. I'm just watching that like, man, like that's a sack, like little things like that,
Well, and that was funny. I think one of the things that we knew Mason was a high school wrestler, and I've always thought that like that's where wrestlers come in with like maybe it's instinct of just like knowing when someone's off balance and then using their hands.
Yeah.
And so I'm curious.
Yeah.
You feel the same way? Like if you think that's truly the case, or if that's just something people say on TV to sound smart.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen some film of him when he was a freshman, and I think even seeing him play today, it's like definitely I think the wrestling takes a part. Like I mean, it might be obvious to you guys because you've seen him play, but he has like great body control, like on double teams, and like just watching him in practice, like in shedding, like that's one of the things I learned from him, like really be able to shed like on the perfect time when you can feel that guy's off balance. I feel like that's something that probably came natural to him as a wrestler. It's something that I had to learn, watching him and KG and like playing and feeling it myself, like teaching myself how to feel out through those moments,
Do you think the move to the interior, I know you got a lot of time left at Michigan, but next step for you is a long NFL career after this. Have you thought about the position switch in the context of what you think is a better fit, for the NFL level as well? And do you think that this is also just a good prep for what's next in terms of position?
Yeah, I think definitely, and that's because of like kind of versatility. Like now, like last year I used to play edge. Maybe in a situation I would move into 3-tech, but like now I can play anywhere on the D line. Like because I play like we have a position called big end. We have 3 linemen on the field, so I'm in a 5-tech still, and like I just have enough athleticism for it, even putting on this weight. So it's like as I get into playing more and more, and like especially next year, like I really want to showcase that I can play anywhere. And I talked to Coach Wink, like I had one-on-one conversations with Coach Wink, and it's just like he keeps telling me like like scouts are gonna love that, like you can play anywhere, like, and especially if you can do it at a good level. And that's like great coming from him, like knowing all the D tackles he coached, like Dexter Lawrence, like all the stuff he's seen, like coaching the NFL as long as he did. So when he says that, it really means something because he's coached those guys and he's put those guys in a good position to become, really good players and make a lot of money. So he's one of the guys also I didn't mention that made the transition so seamless, because that all happened in the spring with the new staff. And ever since I met Wink, he's been telling me the same thing, like keep going, like keep improving. Like it's going to be worth it. Like, I know you want to be an edge, but like, you're going to see like, this like being able to play inside and out, like it's going to be something that is going to help you in the long run. So, yeah.
With that, on this transition thing, you just mentioned like, you met with Wink. Take us behind the walls of Schembechler. When this came down, when the changes came down, did they schedule one-on-one with like? Did you have one-on-ones with with Esposito? Did you have with Wink, or were they group setting like the D lineman in a room meeting with somebody?
I think it was really group settings. I mean, maybe they did have one-on-ones for a certain guy. I didn't really get a one-on-one. I mean, I did get one-on-ones, but like that was me like me and coach kind of setting them up ourselves.
Got it.
But yeah, like really when we met the new coaches, like it was in like we were in the meeting room. He was introducing himself, telling us what he wanted to do. Like Coach Espo, like he had a PowerPoint slide telling everything, like what he was about, telling us his story and telling like what he wanted to do with us and telling us what he wanted to do this year. So like at least I can say for the D-line room, that was kind of what it was like, to meet him just like all together, because when Elson left, we were like, oh man, like none of us saw it coming.
Right.
Like, I mean, it started to be rumors towards the end of the year, I guess you could say, but no, it was like we were focused on the national championship. We had a one-track mind. But it's like once the season ended and all that stuff kind of happened, we're like, yeah, what are we going to do? Not really what we're going to do, because we all knew like the best thing was going to be to stay together. But it's just like, at the end of the day, like we can be together as possible, but we need a coach, So we were just thinking like, what's about to go on? Like, who are they about to get? Like that was what kind of was going through our minds. But I think Coach Espo, in my opinion, has been a great hire. Like he's a great coach and even better guy. So, but yeah, like.
So tell us. So yeah, for the Elston obviously been at Michigan. We've been around a lot. You got a favorite story about Coach Espo that you can share with us?
Coach Espo, yeah. I'm trying to see. We might just get that one. I ain't gonna lie, because a lot of that stuff I don't know if you can put it online.
All right.
I ain't gonna like.
You look.
He a great guy.
If you were
a lot of stuff we talk about, yeah.
Like if you were a fifth-year senior, if you were a fifth-year senior, you could get away with it. But you're a redshirt freshman.
I don't want to ruin my name.
No,
do Espo and Wink both rock the like sleeve cut off shirt and then like the long sleeves underneath? Is that a look they both rock?
Bro, I've seen Espo rock it sometimes, but Wink, that's like his look.
That's his look.
And at first when I met him, I was like, dude, like I don't know if I rock with it, like we come from different times. He like 100 years older than me, but I'm like, oh man, like cutting off the shirt and putting in another shirt like under it. Like, I'm just like, I ain't gonna question them. Everybody got their flow, but yeah, but I ain't gonna lie, it's not my style, but whatever rocks his boat. I mean, it fits him. Now I can't see him without it, so. That's his style. It's just I don't know if you'll see me in that.
Yeah.
So well, maybe one of these away trips, the defense, all you guys like dress up like do that whole look.
I'm not gonna lie, that would be funny because we do have some shirts that are like cut off.
Yeah.
So I might do it myself just to show my appreciation because. I mean, I wouldn't like it, like I said, I don't know if that's like his thing. I've never seen that before.
And I actually think that would be a really cool, because we'll talk about it. The vibes aren't at an all-time high, but I know the team's stuck together and you guys are grinding. Yeah. I think that'd be a cool show of support for Wink. You guys all come off the bus. Cut-offs, the long sleeve Under Armour whites underneath. I think that would be really cool.
Yeah, we might got to talk to the equipment managers, get everybody looking like him. But yeah, no, you're definitely right. Like
that'd be great.
I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and act like things are like kind of all because we know what all-time high is like with the Natty. Like we was walking in the building, if no one like, bro, we probably gonna beat everybody. Like we was walking in the building on Monday 2 days ago. We just beat a team by like 20, like every week. So vibes like But this year is kind of like things don't always go the way you want. But one of the big themes in the building is like, how are you going to respond? And, like, I think everyone responds well. Like, there's no, like, animosity on the team. Like, no one's pointing fingers. like everyone's mindset is like, how we gonna get better this week? How we gonna win this week? Like Coach Wink, he has a kind of like a motto, like 1-0 every week. He writes it on the board, like 1-0 every week. 1-0, like no one's pointing fingers. Like we just, fix what we need to fix, try to do our best with that. And I think staying together has been a really big part of this team. Because, of course everybody wants to win, but it's like, that's not always going to happen forever. And so I think this really showed us who we are and the culture that we have because, I think everyone's done a great job of like staying together.
So, I mean, how would you characterize your leadership style? I know you're one of the younger guys, right? So maybe you're not standing up, but I mean, like, as you see yourself evolving, are you going to be a vocal leader or are you going to be more one of the guys that shows up and quietly, where do you see yourself?
I think I kind of see myself in between.
Okay.
Like, I'm not kind of like a rah-rah guy, but like in a game, like it's weird because like I'm not like really that type of guy, but like I can see myself giving a speech to rally up the team in the game, in a few years. Like I can see myself being like that type of guy, but really I want to lead by example, kind of like how I said like Mason does, but I also think like I can mix in more like vocal, like when it's needed, like definitely like, when it's needed. But I think like really I want to be a guy that's going to lead by example and like do things the right way. Like someone like, even though like I'm not going to always say, like I still want to be there to, be vocal when I see something, I'm going to say something, that type of guy. But I'm not always going to be the most talkative guy. Like that's not really my style. But like I said, just when it needs to be said, I'm going to say it. I'm not going to be scared to say it. But I think most of the time, like even in high school, like I always led by example, but I was the one giving them speeches in the tunnel. I never thought I'd be that guy, but like I guess something that like that's just one of the ways I evolved. So like as I like play more and more and just kind of get a feel for being the leader on this team, like that's something I kind of want to show.
Well, I mean, there's no quit. I think I'll speak for the defense because I know you're on the inside and plugged in a bit more there. But like, Washington was a tough start. I think just a couple things happened and then things kind of closed up. Like I think the second quarter, third quarter, like defense, really I think did well and kind of the same thing against Illinois. I mean, two of those touchdowns were real short fields. I think the fake punt, a couple of the fumbles, and so. Maybe that's indicative of what's being said, in terms of what's being said on the sidelines and the huddles at halftime. Because it does feel like, even when things are tough, no quit in the defense, at least from what I can see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, with the defense, like our thing is like, we want to be shut down at all times. Like we don't want anyone running up the middle. We don't want any like busted coverages. Like we know we can't be perfect, but like we want to be as close to that as possible. And like a lot of like our motto's like, give the offense a place to stand. Like we know the offense relies on us and we rely on the offense. So, give the offense a place to stand. Like do it for the team. Like we all we got. Like, especially, that's really emphasized going on the road. Like Washington was my first road game at Michigan and I didn't get to travel to Illinois because of an ankle injury. Mm-hmm. But like Washington, like you really feel like that we got, like the whole state. Like it was some Michigan fans, I'm not gonna lie, like props to Michigan fans, always showing up because in that sea of purple I did see a lot of maize and blue, but at the end of the day it was still a sea of purple. And like we got, like all those fans, no one was like, most of them were not supporting us. They out here yelling, like screaming, like fans were talking mess, like from behind our bench, like calling like, hey, 17, da 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 da. Like we got. So like it's like you really feel that, especially on the road. I really felt that. So it's just, seeing that, it's like, yeah, like just give the offense a place to stand, like do it for the team. Like, we got.
So now Monday starts, so we're recording this after the Illinois game. So Monday starts Michigan State week, kind of, big rivalry. If you were the vocal leader, Monday morning, what's your message to the team if you gave one?
Really, I would just say like, I mean, what more wouldn't you do? And kind of like what I told you with my brothers, like, where do you not want to be? Like, instead of always saying, like, people always say, like, shoot for the stars, you know, da 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 da, like, to achieve your goals. But, like, if everyone did that, you would look around, it would be a lot more successful people. Like, everyone shoots for the stars. But it's like, you know, at the end of the day, on Saturday night, like, where do you not want to be? You don't want to be on the drive home, like, man, I should have gave it more. I can't believe we lost. Like, you don't want to be on the ride home thinking that, like, we want to be on the ride home, like, celebrating, like, with the Paul Bunyan trophy, like, dancing around, all that. So it's like, where do you want to be? And if you don't want to, think about where you don't want to be and how much will you do to not get there? You know, how much extra film can you watch? How much, you know, how much extra reps can you get? You know, all that, like, getting that mindset ready. You know, this is a big game. Like, they always want to beat us. And it's like, we're not going to let them. Like, if that's what's like, and Coach Moore always says, like, if you're not focused on winning when you walk in the building, like, don't come in. So it's like, we got a job to do this week. Like, the last few weeks haven't went exactly how we planned. And it's like, how long are we going to let it go on? Like, we're going to have to let that fuel us. And this is a big game. And, like, I don't think it's any better game to, you know, let out that fuel.
Yeah.
That's great.
That's it.
Well,
That is great. And there's a saying I think I've heard people say that, I don't know if I personally agree with this, but, like, I hate losing more than I love winning. Like, I've heard some people say that. And that's kind of to your point about, you know, yes, you can shoot for the stars, but maybe at some point that seems further away and it's harder to rally around that versus, like, we could lose and that would be – we don't want to do that. We don't want to be there. But I'm glad they write 1-0 on the board. I think that's a good mentality. People have heard that cliche, but I think it's true in life too. Like, something bad happens, it seems insurmountable to, like, solve everything. You just got to chip away, get the next thing down. Really cool. So, like, what? There's an active quarterback competition. I know, you know, Warren's played, Orgy's played, Tuttle's played. How much is the quarterback competition? Like, what does that feel like in the building? My guess is they split reps, but, like, for you on defense, how much does the quarterback competition impact you?
I mean, on defense, you know, I'm not really seeing that. Like, I'm sure guys like, you know, Kendrick Bell, all those guys on offense will be, you know, way more in tune to that. Like, on defense, it's like, you know, it's just like on any position, like, we want the best guy to shine. Like, you know, we practice, like, you know, you want the best guy to shine. I'm not really in tune to all the quarterback stuff, you know, because in the defensive room, we're worried about the defense, you know, worried about what we can control. But, I mean, just like anyone would think, probably like you guys think, like, we want the best guy to shine. And, you know, whoever's ready to lead us to victory, like, that's the guy we want out there. And I think all three quarterbacks are great players. You know, Toe, Warren, Orgy, like, all three of them are great. Like, I feel like a lot of, like, people are hard on them, but, like, you don't see how hard these guys work, especially in practice. Like, you don't see, you know, the stuff Monday through, you know, then there's Sunday through Friday, you know. So it's like, you know, we just want the best guy to shine. All three are great players, and, you know, three great guys. Like, I'm excited to see what they can do, you know, going into, you know, the second half of the season.
Yeah, we are too. I mean, wishing all those guys the best. Well, so switching gears a little bit, because, you know, I know you've been a high academic guy. I think you had over a 4.0 in high school, and you mentioned your dad. You know, athletics was Plan B, academics was Plan A, and you are a student athlete at University of Michigan, so you're doing some studenting. You mentioned engineering. Are you what's your major? What's your, you know, focus these days academically?
Really, so, like, I'm kind of, like, torn in between, like, something in engineering and environmental science, but, like, those are kind of in the same area. So I'm just getting credits, you know, that'll feed into both of them. And then once I declare, you know, I'm really, so something in kind of like that engineering science space. But, like, yeah, I mean, these days the hardest thing for me is Spanish, man. Like, whooping me, man. I can't lie. Like, whooping me. Like, I took Spanish all throughout high school, but like, I took a placement test to get into this Spanish class, and originally I was like, yeah, let me just, you know, act dumb on the placement test so I get into the class, you know. But my advisor was like, nah, because you're gonna have to finish like all of them. So if you start from the beginning, you're gonna have to take like 5 more semesters worth. I was like, man, I'm not doing that. So I took the placement test, and now I'm in like level 3 or level 4. So I got like 2 more to go. But man, it's hard. It's hard. And the teacher great, so she helping me a lot. But man, it's hard, man. Like it's hard.
I know, funny story. So I was a senior. I had finished up my credits for my major, but I still had credits to complete. I still had credits I had to complete. So I was like, I should do a language. I think I had tested out of Spanish. So I'm like, you know what? I'll try German. I've got some German family members. So I sign up for German 101, and I swear I thought that was the first German class. I show up, they are talking some stuff. I have no idea what's going on because I was supposed to start at German 100. So
Yeah.
I had no idea what was going on.
Yeah.
So they were like, you're going to partner up with the person next to you, and you guys are going to, do this thing, like this conversation, and then we're going to come back and you guys are going to present. And so the class kind of breaks, and I go to this girl, I'm like, I'm leaving right now. I'm pretending I'm going to the bathroom, and I am not coming back. Sorry, you're going to find a new partner. I was so embarrassed because they were going to call. So, yeah, took my backpack, just walked home, signed up for a new class. I don't remember what it was, but good times. So,
yeah, but that's how it feels sometimes.
I know it's hard, yeah.
Yeah.
So how so after your NFL career is over and you're 30-something years old, what do you when you dream about life after football, what does that look like?
Really, I want to do something with my degree. I don't know what it is at this point. I mean, that just depends how college goes. The NFL not promised. So that's why I want to come to a school with, great academics. So, if the NFL don't work, like I got a school with, a great degree and a great alumni base to where I'm still going to make a path regardless. And, that's kind of the goal. But, obviously the dream is to go to the NFL, like, especially seeing all the guys in front of me, like, almost there, like, all those mock drafts, you guys see all that stuff. It's like, dang, I want to be in one of those too, So it's like, but yeah, after, like, if God willing, like, after I'm done playing, like, man, like, well, I just, like, want to travel the world, like, see the world, really go back home to where my parents are from, because I haven't had a chance to go home in years. So, but in general, just travel the world, see what life has to offer, because I think that's what it's all about. Like, I feel like a lot of people get, caught in that space of, like, oh, working, like, I need money to survive, but it's like, just like to live, like go to like a whole nother country, like forget about what's going on back home, like forget about like, football, like just, kind of see the world and like see, what life has to offer. So that's always been a dream of mine. So, whether football works out or not, like I'm going to do that. It's just, with football, shoot, I might have a little extra cash in my pocket. I might get a 5-star hotel in Italy instead of a Airbnb. But, either way, I always wanted to do that, and then also help people, like, like I said, like going back home to my country, like, just doing what I can to help, because, like, I've been in a privileged situation. Like, not everyone that's from my country, like, gets to come to America and, live a good life. Like, it's a lot of BS going on back there, I guess you could say, like corrupt politicians, all that. It's like doing what I can to help, not only those where I'm from, but like help kids here. Like, I always dreamed of like, like doing stuff like charity, like even things like building a school in like an area where, those kids are kind of neglected, like that type of help, like help on like a large scale, Like I said, that's one of the things also where it's like whether football doesn't happen or whether it does, like, I want to do something like that. So.
Now, there's two things that I know you were doing when you were younger that you didn't mention. So maybe you've given up on those as a way of making money. But I saw an interview, you said you were day trading.
Yeah, I can't lie. That was dumb of me to say that, because I don't know if when I said that I was at the legal age to be able to day trade and stuff, because I remember I had to lie on a few things. But yeah, I mean, honestly, like, how it is with football. When I'm coming home, after football and study hall at 10 o'clock, man, the last thing I'm trying to do is stress. Like, bro, that stuff had me losing my hair. Like, one day I'll be up a couple hundred. The next, I'm like, bro, like, I'm about to blow up my whole room. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm mad. Like, I'm losing. So it's like, I've been kind of in that space, but not really. Like, kind of some of the stuff I made from NIL,
Yeah.
I'm kind of investing and putting in. Is like, I don't touch that money. I'm kind of investing it, putting in the stocks. I don't know if you guys heard it, Nvidia, but yeah, Nvidia booming. I kind of got a piece of that because me and my dad were like, "Hey, dude, you could." My dad was like, "Bro, you can get this money and go spend it, or you could make a lot and invest it, and in a few years you can spend it and still have a lot. You could have more to spend and still have some left over." So, like, that's the thought. Like, that's one of the reasons why I appreciate my dad so much. So I was like, yeah, let's do it. So I haven't touched any of that money for real. Just kind of, trying to put it away and invest it for the future. So not day trading though, man.
Were there
It
some,
was some good days. It was some good days. It was some bad days.
Were there
man.
some trades or some stocks that you remember that were giving you extra stress? Like what had you pulling your hair out?
Apple. Man, Apple. The site I was on, you could kind of like, honestly, man, I think day trading, like, when you really wake up to, like, if you don't know what you're doing, it's like gambling.
Oh, it's
Honestly.
gambling. It is gambling.
Like, yeah, I'm not gonna lie, like, it really is gambling. Like, cause I was like, okay, like, maybe I just don't, like, I haven't done enough research. Like, like, I see these guys on YouTube making like, oh, how to make 100K a day. I'm like, yeah, they know what they're doing, and like, maybe I'm just not doing enough research. But it's like, I feel like I tried everything. Like, it just gets to the point, like, it's really gambling, man. Like, some of those, like it was like on the site I was doing, like, you could really trade anything, like coins, like Bitcoin. You could trade crypto. You could even buy stock into like the like different type of currencies,
Yeah.
So like I was placing bets, like I get bets, like I was putting money down, like, oh, in the next 10 minutes, like the price of the euro is gonna go up. I'll put like $100 on that down. I'm like, and it's just like, it felt like sometimes I had such bad luck to where everything I said, it was the opposite. It just got to the point where I was like, let me just focus on football, man.
Well, I know it starts with being self-aware that, like, yes, if you know day trading is gambling, you'll do better than people that don't.
Yeah.
But I do think the answer to how to make $100,000 a day is, for most of those people, it's they lost $100,000 yesterday. So
yeah,
that's a good that's probably what goes into it. But
those guys are the same guys. They're similar to the people that are talking about NIL. That are throwing out big NIL numbers that don't really exist and never get and never get paid.
Well,
but
what was the second one?
I want to come back to NIL because you mentioned it. I mean, how big was that a factor in your recruiting? I mean, I know it's blown up recently. You're 2 years in Michigan, but how did that factor at all?
Not really. I mean, obviously, I was like, my class, like, that was really one of the first classes where it was like guys were getting money offers like that. Like, it wasn't a lot of stuff that was public because it wasn't really legal. Like,
right.
I was in those spaces talking to other recruits, and they're telling me, like, bro, like, they offered me this to come here. Like, they offered me this just to commit. Like, so I'm like, holy crap, like, that's a lot of money. And my eye wasn't really on NIL because I was worried, like, I was kind of like Elson, I was always talking to Elson, and one of the things he told me, he's like, dude, you could go somewhere and get paid like a little bit of money, or you could come here, get developed, and go to the league and make way more money than, you could ever imagine if that's what you choose to do. So I was like, yeah, I mean, some of those places that were offering me NIL, I don't think they would have developed me like Elston and even Coach Esposito here. So it was like really just using, common sense. Like, but some of those offers were hard to turn away. Like, to this day, like, it was a school that did offer me, a lot of money. And it's just like, I told my mom, I was like, Mom, like, I can buy you a new house. I could buy you a Mercedes with this. And she's like, do you want to go there? Is your heart there? I'm like, no. And she's like, don't do it. And I told her, I was like, all right, I promise you, like, I'm gonna get to the top, and I'm gonna still get you there. And she's like, you can't just go where you want to go. Don't follow the money. So that was really one of the huge factors for me.
Was that school? We won't name names, but was it in the state of Florida?
I can't say.
It wasn't. It maybe it was the same school that we had a commit in your class who committed to them and then transferred back to the West Coast. Am I close?
I can't say.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
I can't say.
Well, that school is famous for making promises they can't keep. They don't keep. So we won't name them. But yeah, anyway. So you were signed by Champion Circle, the collective at U of M.
Yeah.
And then any other? You got any other NIL deal? You got Wolverine boots, or what else? What else you up to in NIL space?
Really not a lot. I get some offers here and there. I'm not really heavy on social media yet because, to be honest, like I'm not like a Mason or a KG guy yet. I want to get there one day, but like really my main focus like is getting on the field first.
Yeah.
Before I worry about trying to collab with all these brands and stuff. I feel like if I just keep working and get on the field, that stuff is gonna come. Like I still do. I do get some offers, but it's just like I don't really want to be too heavy on that stuff. Like, I don't want to be the guy who's posting, all type of ads and stuff. But you hear about it more from social media than on the field. So like you guys mentioned, like I have been playing more, but I really want to take that next step in my game before I'm worried about advertisements or anything like that. So
well, when you look at next year and you look around the room, you've got to feel pretty darn good about like you're going to be getting 25, 30 snaps a game next year. It would,
yeah.
I mean, KG and Mason are gone. So yeah, and as much as we rotate guys in, so yeah, you'll get that opportunity because I think you're right. I mean, NIL the way it should be done is guys like yourself leveraging your personalities, your own brands, and sponsors say, hey, we want to work with that guy versus a collective just paying you, right? Let's be honest, right?
Yeah.
And brands, when they see guys contributing, they'll reach out to you then, and so I think next year is going to be a great year for you.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, Dag, real quick though, going back, you said that Enow had two things he did when he was younger.
Well,
I think we only covered the first. What was number two? Sorry, I hope I'm not putting.
NOU allegedly used to be a major manufacturer of computers.
Yeah, I knew you were gonna say that. So yeah, really, that was kind of like my side hustle. So I had like an old crusty laptop, and it was like a really popular game. You probably heard about it, like Fortnite at the time, like coming up, like it had been popular since like middle school, and then coming up to high school, like my laptop just couldn't run it, man. And it was like, I was like, dang. So I had got enough money together and I had built a like gaming computer. I had bought all the parts online and put it together, and I did it, and like it was the best thing I ever made. Like I could play any game I wanted. Like, and the worst part, I did it for like $600. And like to get a laptop that would this was pre-COVID. So the prices, I mean, if I try to make the same computer today, I don't know if it would be 600, but like to get a laptop, like originally it was because like to get a laptop that could play the game was like a good gaming laptop was like $2,000. So I was like, dude, I'm not paying that for a laptop. Like I'm gonna have to get a job for real, and I'm gonna have time for that. So I was like, I just had 600. I built one, and I could play any game I wanted. And I was like, dude, like I can do this. Like as a business, like, cause I had seen people doing it as a business. So like I think I made like maybe 8, like nothing crazy, but like I definitely did get a few off my hands. So basically what I would do is, like if it was like a $600 computer, I would buy the parts. $600, put it together, then maybe charge I would charge the person $700, like $100 to assemble it. And I'm not gonna lie, I guess you could call it taking advantage of people, because like some people don't know how easy it is to like build a computer. Like, I mean, that's just how producers and consumers work, sometimes it's stuff where people can do it, but they rather pay you to do it. So I just took advantage of that. Like my first one, I built it like it was easy. Like all you need is a screwdriver. Like it's almost like putting a Lego set together. Like everything just fits perfectly, and you got to screw in a few things. But I mean, some people don't have time for that. So I was like, I'll do it for you. Like make like $100 profit. So I would, like I said, buy all the parts, put it together, then charge like $100, not like to put it together and kind of make some money that way. So that was a good little hustle. But just like day trading, like as football picked up during high school, like I realized like you got to focus on what's going to get you to college. Like day trading didn't get you these offers. Building computers and get you these offers. So just focus on school for now. Focus on football, and yeah. But it was fun, kind of doing that stuff.
Those are the two coolest side hustles we've ever gotten on the Leaders in Next podcast.
Yeah, you lead the league.
Computer manufacturing and equity trading. You're the man. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Well, we're gonna do a 2-minute drill. They never last 2 minutes. I won't lie. We have a lot of TV timeouts, but just some rapid questions. I'll kick it off. If you weren't a football player, what sport would you be playing?
Like in college or
just in your dreams? Like what if the professional?
Definitely basketball. Definitely basketball.
You played 2 years of high school basketball, right?
Yeah, I think 3. Yeah, okay. Freshman, sophomore, junior year. Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna toot my own horn, but I was a beast, man. I was averaging a double, unstoppable in the paint. But it just came to a time where I was like, dude, you're a 6'4" center. Like the average college, like I'm on TV. I'm like, bro, like 6'4" in the NBA, like that's like a Steph Curry or like Russell Westbrook type of guy. Like, and I didn't have a touch like those guys. So once I started getting offers from football and then playing basketball, I'm like, wait, basketball's not really going anywhere. And I had hurt my knee. I had patellar tendonitis. So I was like, if I'm going to get hurt, it's going to be playing football. I'm not about to get hurt during basketball season. Yeah. And then I can't train the whole, because I was leaving basketball practice and then training for football. So I'm like, with Tank, like on the football field, like a minute walk away. So I'm like, I'm going to just put more time into what's, really going to get me, to college and, my future.
Well, by the way, we all you guys are great athletes and play multiple sports in high school. We got a lot of guys that we've interviewed that are basketball players. And I don't know if you've played some pickup basketball, but who's your starting 5?
On our team?
Yeah.
Man, it would have to be Orgy's definitely in there.
Yeah.
I played pickup with him. Yeah.
Everybody says Orgy.
Yeah, Orgy. It's a guy that left, but man, Keon Sabb, oh man, he was good, man. Keon Sabb was good. I know he was I think he had some offers for basketball, but he was really good. Yeah, Orgy, Keon, who else? Off the top of my head, I don't really know. I remember the last time I played basketball with anybody, but I think definitely we got some really good athletes. I don't know.
Gentry, by the way, Gentry.
Kendrick Bell. Yeah, Kendrick Bell, really good.
Yeah, he was a big basketball player. Yeah. Okay, all right.
If you were head of the NCAA, so you were in charge of the whole thing, what changes would you make on day one?
Well, I just seen they had got rid of the NLI, the National Letter of Intent.
Mm-hmm.
I would have been vetoed that because, the signing days, like those things are priceless. And to take them away is kind of weird. But really, I don't really know off the top of my head, but definitely it would have to do something with the portal and NIL. Like, I guess those are the pressing topics these days. Like, I had seen on Twitter a few weeks ago, I'm not on there a lot because, it's the season. You don't want to see what these fans talk about. No. You don't want to see what these fans talk about. But I had heard about, it was a dude from USC I used to, hear about when I was a recruit. And he, just said, I'm sitting out the whole year. I would want to do something about that because like I know it's special cases, but like like quitting on your team, like the transfer portals is like a lot of stuff we haven't seen before, so like it's kind of getting crazy. So I would definitely probably do something involving that.
Jordan Marshall had an interesting idea. His was that the transfer portal is still intact, but you only get one. So it's sort of like the old transfer rules where you, yeah. By the way, another thing that I want to put up for your vote, Brian Kelly dancing with recruits, should that be made illegal or?
Yeah, I see the video you're talking about. I ain't gonna lie, man, that was cringe. And I was thinking I remember I was gonna take a visit to LSU, but I was committed to Michigan at the time. I was like, I don't know if it's a good idea. But I was telling my friends, they're like, dude, like, don't let Brian Kelly, like, do that stuff to you, bro. Like, don't let him. I was like, what do you mean? And they had shown me the video. I'm like, oh, my goodness. Like, bro, I don't even know if I could take this visit anymore. But, yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know if we'll make it illegal, but it's definitely got to be some limitations on that.
Maybe
We got to –
or something, yeah.
Yeah, it might have to be a fine for
he should have – He should have been fined for that fake accent he had in front of that crowd.
Yeah,
that was bad. That was bad. All right, what's your favorite place to eat in town?
My favorite place to eat, probably right now, it's a place called Bodega Bros. Shout out Bodega Bros. They're on I think along State Street, right next to Panera Bread on campus. Yeah, they got they got everything. Like they got snacks, food, any sandwich you could probably think of. Like they always hook us up. And they mess with the football guys heavy. So probably Bodega Bros as of right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, they may need a spokesman. What do you think, That sounds like a good NIL deal.
Yeah, that would be cool because I'll probably get free bacon, egg, and cheeses. So, anything, any deal like that, they can call me. My phone is wide open.
Well, it sounds like, frankly, it sounds like, all the social media posts we see, you guys are hooked up at Stray Hen.
Yeah, Stray Hen is a big one. I ain't gonna lie, I should have said Stray Hen, but I don't really go there a lot because the line is around the block. Every time we drive around there, the line is around the block. And every time I call, they're like, yeah, we don't take to-go orders on weekends. So I'm like, man, I'm not like a stand in line. I'm a patient guy, but I'm not like a stand in line on a Sunday afternoon in the heat type of guy. So I'm like, we'll just go eat somewhere else. But every time I do get to eat there, like, it's definitely like the best breakfast, like, or lunch spot in town. Like, it definitely is. For like a sit-down place, when I have time to, like, sit down and eat, like, yeah, that's probably the best place.
Yeah, for sure. What about, other than building computers and day trading, any interesting hobbies?
Yeah, interesting hobbies. Yeah. A lot of my favorite hobbies, man, football just got in the way. Like I used to be a skateboarder. Dude, once I hit like 260, it was like, yeah, that's over.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Other than that, like I used to really like I know like a lot of guys probably do this, but gaming, like when I can find time, like I love to be on the game a lot. I love like just kind of like building stuff in general. Like we had just moved into our new house. So I'm putting together the TV stand, like my whole bed, like I had to build my bed and like I kind of enjoy stuff like that, like hands-on type of stuff. But other than that, reading, I like reading, like if the book is interesting, like comic books I used to love, like comic books, but like, finding the time nowadays is kind of hard, but when I can, I love to read. So yeah, other than that, like gaming, like, and just like, just hanging out, chilling. Cause, with the football in the school, man, like more than anything, you want to chill. But fishing, that's a big one. I'm trying to get back into fishing. I'm trying to find a pond. But like when I lived in Florida, we were always off the coast, catching mahi-mahi, catching crabs, casting throwing the casting net, see what we'll pull up, So I want to get back into fishing. There's a pond next to my house. And it's a huge snapping turtle. We seen him one day. So right now our goal is trying to catch him. We ain't seen him since, but we know she's in there somewhere. So we trying to catch it. So, but yeah.
That would be an awesome, like it probably can't be the team mascot, But that'd be
Yeah,
a cool
I don't know if it'll
mascot for
be
the
a
D
team.
lineman. Like if you guys just rolled out with a snapping turtle, that'd be sweet.
Yeah, we got to make sure it don't bite us before
Yeah,
we
be
got
careful
to
with that.
put it in the other team locker room or something. I don't know.
Well, it's it sounds like you got a lot of. You're pretty diverse in your talent and interests. I'm curious if you're going to appear on America's Got Talent.
Uh,
What?
I don't know if I got a talent good enough to be on America's Got Talent, but yeah, you say that definitely. I mean, it's because like I feel like a lot of guys like they've been playing football since a young age, so like this is like their hobby. Like I was like in terms of that, I was a regular kid until high school, so I had a lot of free time. So I was just, I mean, always doing stuff. Like I'm just a guy who just happened to end up being good at football. That's just how that's just what happened. So before that, I was doing like a lot of stuff, like so I just kept a lot of that stuff with me, other than like skateboarding. Can't do that at 300 pounds. I wish, man, but some stuff had to go. But like yeah, like I had a lot of I just like a diverse, like I feel like that's what's life about. Just doing things that you like, finding new experiences, and if you like it, keep it going. So yeah.
I'd love to see you skateboarding down State Street. Like at 300 pounds. That
Nah, man, it might be a catastrophe, man.
yeah.
I don't,
Just if you wear a helmet at least. I mean,
yeah.
Dan, you got one last one?
Oh well, it's election season, so we've been asking people.
Yeah.
If you were voting, if you could only vote for a guy currently on the team, who would you vote from the current team for president?
Oh, that's a good question. For president, man, I feel like it's a lot of good guys. I ain't gonna lie, this might be a sleeper pick, but I'm gonna have to go Miles Hinton, bro. Like Miles Hinton, he's always a positive guy. Like he has such a big heart for being such a big guy. Like I feel like he would be a good president. I don't know if his decisions would be the best, but he got a good heart, man. And I feel like that's just what this country needs, man. Just someone with a good heart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the guy with the biggest heart I know. So probably I'll give it to Miles, man. I'll give it to Miles.
Also, foreign policy would be sick. Like we're beefing with another country and we send somebody who's like 6'8".
Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, like I don't know if Putin and all those guys want to see that. Like, that's a big dude.
Yeah.
So yeah, that would be cool.
Like Vladimir, let's settle this mano a mano.
Yeah.
Actually, one last. This is a brand new segment off the cuff. Let's flip it. So, what's a question you would want to ask? Like, and we'll answer as like general fans. But like, you see stuff on Twitter, you hear stuff. Like, what's a question you would ask fans?
Ooh. Question I would ask fans. Question I would ask fans. I would probably. I don't know if this is like an obvious one or not, but it was like, I don't want to say like, who was your favorite player, but like, was there like a specific play, or was there a specific player, like a moment that made you a Michigan fan? Like, I know a lot of people was like maybe born into it. They was born in Michigan, but like, was there like a play, like, or a player? Like, I had talked to someone and they told me how like they love Aiden Hutchinson. And like that's when they really became a Michigan fan, like watching him. Like they just watched every game to see him, and after that they became invested and just watched every game ever since. And it's just like, so yeah, like I would ask, like, yeah, is there like a play or a player? Like if you weren't like born into it or you just weren't always a fan, like who was someone like you love so watching, or like a play that like defined like you being a fan? Something like that.
Dan,
You go ahead. You go first.
Well, I moved around a lot, but I finished high school, of all places, Columbus, Ohio. But I went to Michigan because of the academics.
Yeah.
But I was like, at the time in high school, I was rooting for Ohio State because that's all I knew, right? And then, I go to Michigan and I'm like, okay, this is a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't recall any one thing. It was just going to Michigan, seeing how special it was and saying, okay, got to root for this. And, and you see guys coming through. Harbaugh's a little bit younger than I am. So you see that. And so then Dan's my oldest son, and he kind of got brainwashed into this whole thing because we would run plays in the backyard. I'd quarterback and he'd be some wide receiver of the time, and he'd be catching it. But Dan, do you
Mercury?
A lot.
Mercury Hayes was the guy that I like to be. So Mercury Hayes, if you get a chance, look up the season opener. Believe it's 1995. Michigan was down 17-0 at home. Mercury Hayes catches a touchdown in the corner with 0 seconds on the clock to win. Toe drag. So he was cool. I'm not very big. Mercury Hayes was not very big, so I liked being him. But I was definitely born into it. So, Dad went there. My mom grew up in Royal Oak, so Michigan through and through. But the moment and the player that was most formative for me was when I was in high school, was Braylon Edwards. And there's the game. It's actually Michigan State game. Michigan was down, I want to say 3 touchdowns maybe going into the fourth quarter. I think it was maybe 2, 27-13. And it's incredible. I don't know if you've seen the highlights from that. It was in 2004. He catches 3 touchdowns. It goes to triple overtime. He catches the game-winning touchdown in triple overtime under the lights. It was the best thing ever. And he was such an awesome player. And he's the one I remember really standing out as I was growing up.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, there's so many, and I think Michigan fans in a lot of ways are, I wouldn't say spoiled, because that's not the right thing to put. I don't think they're spoiled. I do think it's easy to look in the moment and be super upset. But when you take a longer view of things, and you take a 30-year view, and you look at where all the moments, it's been a good run, and I'm grateful. And there's just been a ton of great moments and players. And this is our first year Enow doing this, so we've never had access to talk to these players. It's on a new. I would say it's on my fandom's on a new level now, because I never knew just how great. I knew how great the players were, but I never knew how great the people were. Talking to guys like you just even takes it up another level.
Yeah, that's the thing I don't. Real quick, that's the thing I think people don't see. I feel like a lot of people, even in the NFL, they see I said a player just as a player or a product. I had seen I forgot what NFL player it was. I think he was on the Vikings. After he fumbled the ball, and someone DM'd them talking about, you ruined my fantasy, all type of curse words and stuff. And he was just bro, I'm a human too. People are gonna dog us, and because things didn't go the way things last year, I guess. But it's we're people at the end of the day too. It's not like we want things to go this way. That's just how they're gonna go. Right. And we're gonna respond the way we are, stay together, do the best we can every week. But people gotta realize, we just like them. Going on Twitter and cussing us out, all that stuff, it's not helping anybody,
I do wish people like that could experience it. I don't know what jobs they have. I'm not quite sure. But, imagine they get home from work, they didn't have their best day, and someone was like, that spreadsheet sucked, jump off a bridge, or whatever.
Yeah.
Right? Could you imagine? But yet they choose to do that. And I think it's the minority. I think the general majority of people, which are generally go on and live their lives.
Yeah, definitely.
But what's cool is now, when you break out, when we see you run on the sidelines, you'll get turnover buffs. We'll know all the things that went into it with you. We'll know
exactly.
Your journey, how many times you move, building computers, day trading, the whole thing. It'll make the story that much more special.
Yeah. Definitely.
Well, hey, this has been great. We're going to get you free time back on a Sunday here, and you might have some schoolwork to do. Who knows? But this has been a lot of fun getting to know, as he just covered it. I mean, you kind of got a lot of different interests, and you're more than a football player, and that's what we love talking about. We're not the traditional X's and O's guys that there's a lot of podcasts that want to talk scheme and things like that, and we like learn a little bit more about you guys. And I was excited to have you on it because I had seen some interviews with you, and I knew you're kind of a broad interest guy. So this has been great. So again, thanks so much, and good luck. Hey, good look. You're just going to do your best the rest of the season, whatever happens, and we're looking forward to it. So thanks everybody for listening. Please follow us on social media, Leaders in Next, or our website, leadersinnext.com, for all the episodes. Until next time, talk to you later. Bye.
Go Blue.
Bye.